Hi, everyone, and welcome to Jehovah Boy. I'm your host, Doug Smith, and this is the podcast all about struggle, hardship, trauma, bad shit, overcoming it, channeling it into your creativity without letting it define you. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome. We do have a guest today, but before I announce our guest, I want to let you know we will have some solo episodes in the coming weeks. I asked you guys to email the show, share your stories of religious extremism, and you did not disappoint. I have amassed quite a collection of tales of religious extremism, and I want to share them on the show. I want to make you a part of this podcast. Thank you for sending in your emails. I encourage you to continue to do so. JehovahBoyPodcast@gmail.com. Send in your stories. I will also be doing some AMAs in the coming weeks. Embarrassingly, I did not know what an AMA was until quite recently. I thought it had something to do with martial arts. I, for some reason, thought it stood for American Martial Artists, even though I've seen AMAs in various formats on social media. I could have used context clues to figure out what it meant, but I did not. Yes, that is embarrassing to admit, but it's the truth. I may not be a boomer, but I sure as shit act like one. Now that I know what it is, yes, please, ask me anything. I would love to debunk some myths about Jehovah's Witnesses. Nothing brings me greater joy than hearing people's preconceived notions about what they believe and how they function. It's hilarious. You guys can't eat chocolate? Women can't drive? Let me debunk some myths. Let me shine some light on some things that will blow your mind that you may not have even given any consideration to. So if you have a story or a question, email the podcast, JehovahBoyPodcast@gmail.com. Now, as much as I love doing this podcast, I do need your support. The number one way to do that is to subscribe to the Patreon, $5 a month. For $5 a month, you can help feed a hungry podcast. That's all it takes. I know some of you may not have $5 a month to spare. If that's the case, get your fucking life together. Some of you may not want to spend $5 a month. Some of you may not want another subscription. I get it. We have a lot of fucking subscriptions to manage. You may not want another one. If you're so apt to join the Patreon, thank you. I would love that. If not, you can still show your support by just telling people about it. I know a lot of people have found this podcast through Reddit. To those of you who have come here from Reddit, those of you who have shared about this podcast on Reddit, thank you very much. If you could continue to do so, share it in your stories, text a friend, email a friend, post it on your social media, whatever you got to do, it would be a huge help. You can spread the good news. You don't have to do so by going out knocking on doors. All you ex-J-dubs out there know what I'm talking about. You do not have to spread the good news by any sort of door-to-door proselytizing. You can do so from the comfort of your own home without getting off your dead ass. Just mash a couple buttons and let people know. And please, if you are enjoying the podcast, rate, review, subscribe. I know this is starting to sound like an NPR pledge drive. I apologize, but this is just some necessary housekeeping. If you want the podcast to continue, I do need your support. Rate, review, subscribe. It really, really does help. I mean that. I would really appreciate it if you could do so. Thank you. Thank you to all of you who have supported. Thank you to you who are going to now show your support. I appreciate you listening. That's another way of showing your support. I appreciate you listening, but I need you to tell others or subscribe to the Patreon. It'd be a huge help. Now, with that out of the way, I do have a guest today. My guest today is a hilarious comedian and a friend of mine. I've known this guy for a long time, and he cracks me up. Every time I see him, he's a wild card, and he's got some crazy tales, and I can't wait for you to hear him. James Salengo is my guest today. He was doing a solo show in conjunction with me. We were doing a show together. Me, him, Anthony DeVito, and Chris Gethard were all doing a show on the Lower East Side. We were all respectively working on chunks of our solo shows, 20 minutes at a clip. It didn't last long because we were all, I think, we talk about it. We were all kind of depending on the other parties to promote, and so none of us did. But it was fun while it lasted. And Casey's show, called In Bloom, is on a bit of a hiatus. I try to encourage him to get back on the horse because it's a hilarious tale of being a late bloomer. And we get into it. This is a hilarious heartfelt, vulnerable, honest, heartbreaking conversation about late puberty, tiny testicle, hormone therapy, being mistaken for a girl throughout his teen years. It's hilarious and heartbreaking. Exactly right up my alley. He must have been a pretty boy because, he jokes about being a late bloomer and having zero testosterone, but he was getting hit on by girls left and right throughout his teen years. And he couldn't really act on it. He hit the brakes a lot of the time due to some physical abnormalities and the insecurity that stemmed from that, but he was getting some attention. So we were able to commiserate on that because I too was getting some attention from the ladies in my teen years. I could not act on it for different reasons. I wanted to, but I was afraid of dying a fiery death because Jehovah's Witnesses are not allowed to engage with the opposite sex in any way that could lead to premarital sex, especially with non-believers. So no premarital sex, no dating, not even school dances. I could not even attend school dances. And in 7th grade, an 8th grade girl asked me to the Sadie Hawkins dance, which was a huge boost to my ego. I felt I was on cloud 9 for about 3 seconds until she asked me till I had to tell her that I couldn't go. She said, "You want to go to the dance with me?" And I said, I can't. I'm sorry. I'm a Jehovah's Witness. I didn't give her any other reason than that. So she just walked away confused. And then later that day, right out in the courtyard for everyone to see, she got a hold of some sidewalk chalk and in big bubble letters wrote, "Doug is gay." Now, thankfully, there was another Doug in my class who I'm pretty sure was gay, so big ups to gay Doug for taking the fall on that one. That was mighty kind of him. For years, I felt terrible for running out and squeezing his last name in there, but hey, I had to cover my ass. Pun intended. So anyway, yeah, we had a great conversation about our sexual shame and repression, and he's a great dude. He's a great dude, real live wire, and I can't wait for you to hear my conversation with KZ James Salengo. This is Jehovah's name. Dude, who knew that Jankos were going to come back? I remember when Jankos were popular thinking, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely fucking ridiculous. People are falling down the stairs. This is entirely too much fabric. And they're back.
It's wild. I was wearing them and I couldn't believe people were wearing them. I remember, yeah, I saw Jankos at Dwayne Reed there and I was fucking shit my pants. And these guys, they weren't selling them. A guy was wearing them. But yeah, I remember we used to have competitions back and someone came in, they're like, I got 30-inch seams. They're like, some girl came in like, I went to the Good Mall in Albany. I got 75-inch. Like the pants are fucking this big. They look ridiculous. You can't fit in the door. She looks stupid. Everyone's like, oh my God, she's so cool. And I had one pair of Jankos because that's all I could afford. And I lied and told everyone I bought like 5 of the same pair so I could wear them every day to school without getting made fun of. But I can't believe it came back. It's fucking wild.
You're right though, dude. It was like rims on a car. It was like, how many inches can you go? I got 75-inch rims on my fucking ankles.
Oh man, it was a time of excess.
Your mom let you get a pair. My mom didn't even let me get a pair, man. They were like $80 25 years ago.
They were $50, which seemed astronomical. The one I got cheaper ones at JCPenney that like weren't the top shelf ones. My dad bought them for me for Christmas. He would just come and let me pick out. He was like, "Here, you get $200. Pick out what you want, and then I'll wrap it up, and then you come open it." So I picked out Jankos. That was a big year for me. I got a South Park shirt with Cartman on it. I got some anime shirt from Hot Topic. I didn't know what it was. That was when I was really starting to feel myself.
So he would buy the shit. You were aware of what he was buying. He would wrap it up and then just give it to you again on Christmas.
Yeah.
Hit you in the head with a frying pan, try to erase your memory. So it felt like a surprise.
No, he did hit me with a pan, but that was unrelated to the Christmas. But it was really great because, my mom would get me whatever. I'd give her a whole list of what to get, and then she would go shopping Christmas Eve, and just get me whatever was left. So there's really nothing I wanted coming in that way. And then, but I knew when I went up to Dad's that, you know, everything was going to be right, and I picked out what I wanted. So it was a fun mix of surprise and actually having things I need in life.
So we're getting into some family dynamic stuff here, which is great. But I want to backpedal a little bit. So you and I were both working on our respective solo shows in conjunction with each other. Remember our short-lived Sad Sack show at Caveat?
Yeah, that was 2 shows, I think. It was a good time, though.
It was me, you, Anthony DeVito, and Chris Gethard all put our heads together. Hell of a crew, right? We're all like, hey, we're all working on solo shows. Let's do a show together where we each get like 15, 20 minutes to work on a chunk of our respective solo show. Sounds like a great idea. But I think it was one of these things of like everybody passing the buck to the other, you know, in terms of promotion. I mean, I certainly was. I don't know about you. I was basically planning on riding Gethard's coattails, be like, hey, people are show up for him. Nobody's coming for me.
No, we're great, but you know, nobody knows who we are. I was like, it's all Gethard. I thought he had the whole machine running, and people did come out for the first couple. But it did seem like a good idea. He was good at it because he's done that a lot. You were like newly worked on yours, so it's hard to do like that. And then mine is, there's no way to just tell a 15-minute chunk. I just have to do the beginning. There's like so much explanation.
Yeah.
Unless I just jump into a story about why one of my balls is tiny and, you know, why I didn't go through puberty till like 21. It's like takes a lot of explanation that is hard to do in 15 minutes.
Yeah. You can't just jump right into that. You're gonna have a lot of people scratching their heads in the crowd.
There's a lot. I stopped doing mine. Are you still doing? Because it's too embarrassing. I want to get back to it, but I can't bring myself to do it. It's too embarrassing.
I mean, I had to go back to the drawing board after last summer. So I haven't, you know, taken it to stage yet, but I've been tinkering away, you know, writing up a bunch of stuff, deleting a bunch of shit, just pages and pages of notes. But so I know a little bit about, you know, what your show is about and the late puberty and everything, but like let's jump into your origin story. So if I remember correctly, I know you grew up upstate. I wanted to see if I can guess the town. Was it Troy?
No,
not Troy.
Pretty close.
Outside
Pretty
Albany,
good,
though.
not Troy. Yeah.
I'm out of guesses.
It's complicated. I hate when people ask where you're from. Nobody wants to hear your whole fucking explanation, but it's hard because I was born in Rutland, Vermont.
Okay.
And then my parents got divorced when I was in utero, and my father went to jail, and my mother went back to Vermont. And then when I was like 3, we moved to upstate New York to Franklinton, which was like a small, tiny little stretch of road. From there, we moved to Middleburg, which was a slightly bigger stretch road. They had a stoplight. And then we moved to Gilboa, which is tiny. There's 14 kids in the school. It was fucked up. And then we moved back to Middleburg. And then we moved to Schoharie, which was like the biggest town I've been to yet. And then we moved to Lake Luzerne, which is where my mom resides now, which is near Lake George. So it's quite a long and boring story.
Lake Luzerne I have heard of. And all these towns that you bopped around in New York State, were they within pretty close proximity?
All the Middleburg, Schoharie, all those are like one little clump, and then Lake Luzerne was up here.
There.
So this was all just like moving in between towns, and then this was starting my life over again.
Okay. So all these towns, though, are like, you know, what, like 500 people tops? Less?
I have got no idea. Whenever people are like, how many people, I've in like a group of people or a town, I'm like, all right, it could be 100, it could be 5,000. I don't know the number, but it was very small. Gilboa, I know there are 14 kids per grade, so that's not very big. And then Middleburg, it was a street with one fucking stoplight. My graduating class was like 65 people. What kind of number do you think that would be? I don't know.
I mean, that's pretty small.
Throw a number. Throw a number at it. 500?
I would say so. I would say under 2,000. I would say probably under 2,000.
It's always crazy. You hear people who went to school that had like 500 kids in their graduating class, and you're like, what the fuck is that even like? It's like the movies. It's like when you watch teen movies growing up, and they're like, that's not my experience at all.
Yeah.
Everyone's like hanging out in the quad, and there's like popular like I knew every single person that went to my school. I don't know how some people are like, I graduated this guy, I never even met him. That fucking blows my mind.
Right. Yeah, those huge schools are very overwhelming. But we glazed over. Your dad went to prison. What'd your dad go to prison for?
Well, this time he went to prison because I don't remember what the exact. It's either Grand Theft Auto, battery, something. Here's what happened: is he's severely bipolar and he's undiagnosed at the time, so he's in a wild manic phase, and he's a brute of a man. He's missing all his knuckles from fighting. He's just a tough, gruff bastard. And apparently he got a DUI, and they put him in the drunk tank, and then they impounded his car. So when he got out, he's like, "Where's my fucking car?" Like, you got to go get it from the impound lot. So he got out there, and he saw some guy in that guy's car. He ripped some guy out of his car. He stole a man's car. I don't know why I can't. He's ripped the guy out of his car, stole it, and went to pick up his own car from the impound lot. Left the car he stole there. Went back home to my family, which was my older brother and sister, and my mom and me and her tom-tom. And my mom said he was just like acting crazy. Like, he started making a big stew for everyone, where he's just like putting all the ingredients in the kitchen in a big pot and cooking it. And my sister was old enough to remember it. She was like, "Yeah, I wouldn't eat it." She was like, my brother was like, "This is good." It was just like fucking ketchup and cigarette butts and shit. And then my mom, like, could tell he's acting crazy. He was like drawing lines on the floor to tell people like where they could go and like where they couldn't go. And then my mom knew something was up, so she called my dad's sister, which they didn't really get along. So she knew immediately, like, "Oh, there's something wrong with Ed." She's like, "Yeah." And then my dad heard that phone call, and he ripped the phone out of the wall. So my Aunt Seal came to get my mom and my brother and my sister, and they said, like, as they were pulling away, the cops were coming up, and you could see there's like a bay window. My dad was standing in front of it shirtless with 2 butcher knives and like a camouflage bandana around his head. And then he went to jail. So I don't know which part of that was what he got charged with.
Wow. Sounds like he definitely would have taken a shit on Nancy Pelosi's desk.
He would have. He's actually Democrat, but he would. He take a shit on any desk.
Any desk. He just goes into Staples.
He's just a bad dude. But yeah, no, I found a Bible. It was my mom's Bible that was given to her by her father, who was a preacher. He died when she was like 17. And my dad wrote a note in it, and he was like, "Looks like I'm going away for a while." He's like, "If the baby's a boy, name him Ricky, after my favorite singer, Ricky Nelson." And my mom was telling, I found this. I was like, "What's this?" She's like, "Oh yeah, I remember." She's like, I was naming fucking Ricky. I never heard him listen to Ricky Nelson once. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. But it was very odd. Yeah, cryptic. It was a wild time. So he's got his bipolar under control now. He's been to prison, I think, only once in the interim. So it's good.
So sounds like he was living Grand Theft Auto before it was a video game.
Oh, yeah.
He was ripping people out of cars, throwing them in the street, taking their car to his car in the impound lot. That's amazing.
It's fucked up, man. He beat up cops all the time. The time he got arrested, the one like real bad bipolar episode he had, I remember, he went to visit his brother in California, and on the train ride back, I guess he stopped taking his medicine, and he thought he saw a buffalo, or he loves buffalo. I don't fucking know why. He loves it. And so he wanted to jump off the moving train to see the buffalo, and they're like, "Sir, you can't do that." And he's like, and he went crazy, and he like fought a bunch of cops, and then he was locked up in a jail in Nevada. And then I just remember everyone being weird. I had to give him my birthday money to help with the bail, I remember. And then he got out, and he was still wild. He brought me presents from Nevada. He brought me like a 3D puzzle and a big jug of fool's gold. It was very fucking weird. He talked about like time travel all the time. It was actually awesome. When he was manic, it was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say, he does not sound like a boring man at all.
He is now, but yeah, the manic was great.
You flush his meds down the toilet just to make things interesting.
Yeah, I should. One time he dropped me off at the mall to go play poker with his buddies, and he's like, "Here's some money." And he gave me like $200 or $300. It was more money than I'd ever seen in my life. I've had like at most like $10 at one time. Then and I went fucking nuts. It was right when episode 1 came out. I got every Star Wars toy. I think I got 2 like dual-sided lightsabers. It was fucking rad. It was like it was like a dream. It was like supermarket sweep or something. It was great. And then he picked me up a few hours later, and I remember we went outside. There's no other cars because the mall was closed. And he didn't see his car. He's like, someone fucking stole the car. The car's gone. He's like freaking out, screaming in the parking lot. I'm like, I'm sure it's around, Dad. And he's just screaming. And I just turn the corner. I'm like, Dad, it's right there. He goes, all right. And we just leave. So that was bipolar Dad.
Wow. Well, it sounds like he loved you and was generous and tried to do whatever he could within his capabilities to be a good dad.
Yeah, he did. He tried to financially help. Well, it's a thing when you're very manic, being like very careless with money and all that stuff, and being promiscuous. Is it like he cheated on my mom, which isn't a regular thing, but when he was like manic, that's what made them like split up the first time. And then they were like, I think on a trial basis when he did the Grand Theft Auto thing. But yeah, that's just that kind of stuff. And he sold weed. So that's the way he knew how to give back to us, is buy us stuff with his weed money.
So they split up while you were in utero, you said?
Mm-hmm.
In utero. It's a tough one.
In
the utero. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So it's not like you had to deal with any sort of divorce proceedings or anything. That was the norm for you. And what was the custody split? Did you kind of see him just like when he came around?
Well, actually, it was pretty cool because my mom and dad still got along. I think she understood that he was just out of his mind, and she would like talk to his sisters and his but be like, he needs help, something, but they like didn't want to admit that he had mental issues. Or I don't know. His family's all fucked up. Their parents all died when they were really young. There was like 5 of them who took care of each other, and so they still got along well. He would like come visit every other weekend, and he got when I was like 3, he got a new girlfriend, Debbie, who was my stepmom. She passed away a few years ago, but she was there the whole time. And my mom would like let him sleep over at the house for the weekend. It was great. And then she got some boyfriend who was like, I don't like your ex-husband sleeping over. Which I was like, yeah, that makes I guess that makes sense. That's reasonable. So yeah, about every other weekend and then like a month in the summer. It was good. It was good.
So small town. I do know this. Every time I go up to one of those towns, so I either go up there to hit like some rinky-dink ski mountain. Have you ever been to Willard Mountain? Did you ski growing up?
I have. No. You need money to ski. We eventually did not fucking ski. I was not athletic. I don't like the cold, and we had no money. So
okay,
I think I know about what you're talking about.
Scratch that one off the list.
Yeah, skiing's out.
So every time I go up there, it's either for like a ski trip or some like Airbnb, like lakeside retreat. And all those towns, I feel like I'm just walking into Deliverance, Oh,
man.
I feel like I'm going to get into a fight with an inbred kid at the gas station.
That would have been me. I would have been that kid No, it's fucked up. People don't realize how like trashy. When people hear New York, they just think of the city and they realize there's this huge, giant, fucked up state above it. And it's like the deep South in some ways. Like people think I'm Southern. First of all, I just talk about being poor, and they think only Southern people are poor. And like everyone had this like weird mushmouth accent. It was like a mix of like Canadian and Southern, but it's fucked up there. Like, yeah, shit's bad.
Yeah, I've seen some weird shit on some of those country roads.
Yeah.
So, is that one of your kittens batting around a toy?
Yeah. Come on, Loretta. Sorry, let me.
No.
Her.
It's okay.
You can't. Okay. I got this new kitten. You can't have a bottle cap.
I thought I was having a stroke.
No, it pisses me off. She's right here. I'm grabbing her. What the fuck, Loretta? I'm trying to do entertainment. You don't respect my career.
What are you up to now, pet-wise?
We got 2 little kitties, and then we got a dog. So the dog Courtney my wife had before we got together. She is an angel. Millie, she's 11 or 12.
You're not just saying that because you have to. You actually like her.
I love her. She's the best.
Great.
She's my little angel. And then the first cat I found in the backyard at the beginning of the pandemic, and I thought we were rescuing him, but I still see his parents out there like every day. So, like looking for him. I've never seen a cat couple be monogamous or stay together, and I just kidnapped this little kitten. And then this one, I was cleaning like an empty apartment building, and she just fucking like crawled out of the basement, all covered in shit. And I brought her home, and now we're in love.
No shit. Wow. Okay. So you really did rescue one. One of them was abducted. He's probably been with you long enough. He has Stockholm syndrome, and even if you brought him back to his rifle owners, I'm sure he'd choose you.
He would choose me, and he would have fucked his mom by now. Nobody wants that. Cats get inbred. You got to break them up or fix them.
Yeah,
they'll fuck their mom, and they've got those they got the barbs on their dick, so they're like, having violent sex with their mother, and nobody, I saved them from that kind of life.
If they want to fuck their own mom, I mean, let it happen. You can't stand in the way of nature.
You can
natural selection.
You can stand in the way if you see it.
Not with that barb dick, though. Locked and loaded.
It's spooky. I got them fixed. I didn't realize. I thought they cut the dick off. It still pops out all the time. It's gross. It's a little pink worm dick, just stare in your eyes. Oh, that's fucking horrific.
Wow. See, I've had cats my whole life, and I've never once seen a cat dick. As far as I'm concerned, they're all hermaphrodites. You cannot tell any part from George. George has cats too. Do I see it nod there, George? Have you ever seen a cat dick? No, never seen a cat dick. I've never seen a cat dick.
My cat, he does the thing where he pops his leg over his head to lick his asshole.
Yeah.
And then sometimes his little ding dong will come out, and then he'll like get distracted, so he's just staring at you with his fucking asshole and his dick out, and it's just like, what are you doing, bud? Come on, finish it. Put that away. You just push it back in.
You want to hear what
I'm just joking. I didn't touch it.
My new favorite joke is whenever my cat is cleaning herself. I have 3 cats
What's
now.
that?
I have 3. Whenever my cat is cleaning herself, I got the legs slung over her head. She'll be cleaning herself on the ottoman, and my son will be like, "I'm hungry." I'll point to the cat, be like, "Why don't you have what she's having?"
Oh my god. He's sick fuck. Does your son laugh? Is he old enough to get it?
No, he thinks I'm disgusting, dude. He's like, it's like,
really?
Yeah, I'm gonna raise like a fucking button down because he's probably gonna be a Jehovah's Witness, man. He's got to swing in the other direction. He's probably gonna. He's
like family ties.
He's got to have something. Exactly, man. He's gonna be like a young Republican. He's got to have something to rebel against. He's grossed out when I fart. Everything that I thought was when I was a kid in such a repressive, conservative household that I was like, I loved chaos and bathroom humor and anything like that. He's just been so inundated with it. He thinks it's disgusting.
Wow, that's wild. How old is he now?
He's going to be 8 in September.
He's going to be 8.
Yeah.
So he's developing a sense of humor like he did and he just like, what does he say when he's, tell him to eat your cat's pussy or you fart or whatever.
It sometimes when I fart, dude, when he's really disgusted, like he'll sometimes let out like a little chuckle, but then he'll like shake his head. But when he's really disgusted, he'll just look at me and just roll his eyes. And like one time I tried farting in front of him and like a bunch of his friends, thinking they were all going to crack up and think it was like hilarious. And they all looked at me just like, oh, what the fuck is up with this guy? It was so humiliating.
Mr. Smith farted in front of us. It was terrific.
I felt really uncomfortable.
Maybe I don't know. I didn't find farts funny when I was little. I don't know why. I thought it was like hacky, I think. I even had a judgment of humor back then. And now I think they're the funniest thing in the world. I don't know. I was a little stuck up. He'll grow into it.
I hope so, man. I hope so. I don't know if
what does he find funny?
I don't know if he's my kid. What does he find funny? I mean, that's the thing. He can like bathroom humor just as long as it's not coming from me.
So he hates you is the problem.
I think so. Yeah. Like he loves, like Jack Black is his favorite actor. He likes very over the top. He loves Nacho Libre. You've seen Nacho Libre, right?
Hell yeah.
That scene when he farts mid-jump when he jumps out of that dude's back in the alleyway? I mean, he rewinds that half a dozen times. Farts are funny, just not when they're coming from me.
Wow.
Not when they're from his dad.
Hurt.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I'm trying to break him down.
That's brutal. I don't know if I can handle that. When my wife laughs at someone else in public, I'm like, you fucking whore. You only laugh at me. You know? I don't know if I can handle it with my son.
Yeah, I might have to put him up for adoption. You can take him. You start with cats, work your way up to kids.
All right.
You know.
Keep the dick in.
Yeah, don't push it back. Let it rip. All right. So, did you grow up in a trailer?
So we moved.
Was it a mobile home?
I lived in a trailer a couple times. I think it was in like 3rd or 5th grade. I was in a trailer. We lived there for a while. We lived in a bunch of different houses. Part of the reason we moved a lot, I think my mom didn't like paying rent, really. So there were a lot of times where we just had to like leave in the night unexplained and just go to a new place. And like I remember one time we had a house, and I remember I was watching Martin. It was like one of my favorite shows on TV. Martin Lawrence, hilarious. And the landlord started like banging on the door, and my mom got us all and put us like under the kitchen table. And the guy was trying to like break the door in. And I remember just being like, I was just peeking through the tablecloth, like watching Martin. I was just pissed off he was interrupting in the show. He didn't get in, but it was a lot of stuff like that. We moved to some houses. We lived in trailer park. We lived in an RV for a while. We lived in a 1-room schoolhouse. I lived in my room was I lived in like a closet above a bingo hall before. They tried to act like it was a bedroom. It was definitely a walk-in closet. There's no windows, and
Jesus,
it like led to it now. So
what's the statute of limitations on calling Child Protective Services?
I think we missed it. I remember one time I went to visit my dad for a month in the summer. Like I said, my brother and I came back. He's 4 years older. And we got home, and there's nothing in the house. No one was there. We had no idea what to do. We walked like 1.5 miles to the gas station in town, and we were just in there hanging out. It was before cell phones or anything. And my mom's boyfriend, Haggy, walks in to the gas station. We're like, Haggy? He's like, oh, what are you boys doing here? And we're like, we went home, and nobody's there. And they're like, oh, yeah, we moved. We forgot to tell you. So...
Holy shit.
So, yeah, they didn't tell us we moved. But actually, I'm thinking back on it now. I don't think it was a moving situation. Because after that, we went camping for like a week. I think there's something nefarious. I just put that together in my head. Because I was like...
camping, so they didn't move. There wasn't a homelessness situation.
Yeah, they said we moved, but then there was no other house that I remember for a little while.
Wow. All right, that's a little bit better. It's almost like when you do have to move and you can't take your pets with you and you just set them free in the park. I thought maybe that's what your parents did with you.
I think they tried.
Wanted to. I think hopefully they wanted to keep you in tow. That's nuts. You were how old when this happened?
I'm gonna go with 7 or 8.
Wow. So you had a tough life, man.
It was all right. I didn't know anything else.
I had nothing to compare it to.
It seemed fine to me at the time. I don't know.
You're like, I had Christmas, not like you fucking weirdo.
Yeah, Christmas was good. I didn't even realize I didn't realize any of this was fucking weird or fucked up.
Yeah.
Even when I started comedy, I never told any of these stories or jokes. And then I started a little bit introducing, and people were like shocked.
Right.
And I was like, oh, wow, maybe this is weird. And then I started leaning into it more, and people were like, what the fuck, man? And I'm like, oh, I guess everyone didn't live like this.
Because that's all you knew, right? I mean, that whole surrounding area. And I imagine you watched Martin. That was probably the first time you ever saw a black person.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a lot of diversity up there.
No, none. Zero.
Wow. So, yeah, that's all you know. That's all you know.
Yeah.
So it's perfectly normal. I know. Same thing with me, man. Like, I was able to tell fairly early on that Jehovah's Witnesses, once I started going to school and saw what other kids were doing and how other kids were living, I was like, oh, this is very different. But yeah, I didn't think it was that crazy until I started telling other people about it, and they're like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me?
Like, what stuff really, piqued their interest? That was, you remember?
Like no holidays at all. And, going door to door, just... and it's all been magnified since I have become a father. You know what I mean? Like if I was to try to instill what was forced on me as a kid to my son now, like, again, I was born into it, so I knew nothing else. But if I was to suddenly say to my son, like, hey, we're going knocking on doors this weekend, he'd be like, what? No Christmas this year. What did I do? Your birthday coming up in a couple months. We're gonna go to that trampoline park. Nope, that's off the table, man. Birthdays are pagan.
Oh my!
He would be fucking suicidal. He'd be the only suicidal 7-year-old. You know, like he would have no reason to live.
Holy shit! That's so. Wow. Yeah, I couldn't imagine. So you went knocking door to door every weekend, just trying to convert people, and from like what age to what age?
Age 6 to 20.
Jesus Christ, 20?
Yeah.
Why did it take you so long to get out?
I needed my mom to die first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, are you kidding me? It's my only escape, dude. Once she croaked, my dad and I were liberated. But yeah.
She was really the only one keeping you all in this, and you all wanted to be out?
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah. But, you know, it's one of these things. You don't know any different.
Man, she forced, man. She must have had a tight-ass pussy, I'll tell you. I'm sorry. Well, for your dad to live that horrible life,
right?
It must have been something.
I don't know, man. They were still going at it late in life. 47 and 52 when I was born, so there might be something to your theory.
Wow, yeah. I mean, there's something holding him there. If he hated it the whole time, did he admit to you that he disliked it the whole time, or what?
No, but it was very palpable. He just spent every waking moment of free time in his basement cleaning guns.
Oh God!
So you know.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
But anyway, so I want to hear about your condition, because that's what your show tips into. I'm sure you talk all about your impoverished upbringing in your show. You give people a little bit of backstory, right?
I dabble in that.
You dabble, okay. So, at what age did you find out that you had something going on, and what did you find out you had going on?
This is I knew something was weird. I noticed all my friends going through puberty, and it was like a fraught time. And for some reason, I don't know if other kids felt like this, but I remember being like 11 or 12 and being like, I remember praying. I didn't know, we weren't religious. I didn't know how to pray. I was like, please let me go through puberty soon. It was like all I wanted. I don't know if anyone, did you feel like that?
Dude, absolutely. Are you kidding me?
Really? Okay.
I remember specifically praying at the age of 12 to get hair on my balls, because I knew that every other kid was getting hair on their balls. I was like, where the fuck is mine?
How soon after was your prayer answered?
Dude, I was telling somebody on the last episode, my voice hadn't changed when I got my driver's license, dude.
Ah, fuck.
I used to answer the phone, have people be like, my mom's name was Joan. I used to answer the phone at like 15, 16 years old and have people like, hey, Joan. And I'd be like, it didn't make my voice deeper. I'd be like, it's Douglas.
Try being 17 and the lady at the TJ Maxx dressing room won't let you in the men's dressing room side. All right? And you come back to me. Unapologetically. Hands me the woman's side. And I go, I'm a boy. She goes, really? And I go, yeah. She's like, she looked at me. She's like, all right. And just handed it to me. And yeah, so that happened. So when I was like, we had to get physicals. What grade was I in? I must have been like, I was like 15, 16. Somehow I avoided it because up to that point, it's like, all right, it could be late. I think I was like 16. And then I'm like, all right, this too. Because she did the physical and she was like searching around and she was like, hold on. She's just like fucking cramming around my ball bag, slapping it around. She makes me lay down and she's like fucking pressing.
And then the physical
started. It's the worst moment in my life. And then, then I came. And then no, and she's like, so she goes, all right. And then she just writes on a piece of paper, undescended testicle. She hands it to me, like doesn't give any explanation, and then sends me back to fucking class.
Put that on your vision board.
Yeah, what the fuck? So I just had that in my pocket and I didn't know what it meant or what it was. And I went home to my mom and I was like embarrassed to give it to her, or finally I just like I was like, Mom, I handed a sheet of paper. She's like, what the fuck is this? What is? She thought it was like a prank or something. So to explain to her what what was happening, that they couldn't find my testicle and all this stuff, and that they wanted me to go to the doctor. That's when I talked about this in the show. My Uncle Randy popped in. I didn't know he was in the house. I was just telling my mom this deep personal secret. My Uncle Randy, and then he popped in and he goes, "Yeah, we had a kid like that in school. We we call him Jimmy One Nut. Oh man, we bullied the hell out of him." And then he just fucking left. And I was like, "Fucking great info, Randy. Thanks for the help." So we went to. It took forever to get my mom to take me to the doctor. We never went to like doctor, dentist. We never did any of that. So finally made an appointment and we went in, and the guy, this guy he felt my balls up again. And he was like, "It's not undescended. It's just really small." I was like, "Oh, great. Thanks, doc. Great news." I was like, "All right. Nothing to worry about.
That's
it's just
worse,
too small
right?
to find." Yeah.
At least if it was undescended, there's hope.
Yeah. It's just too tiny to find by normal human measures.
It's like Pluto. It's not even identifiable as a testicle anymore.
It's so it's so fucked up. And then the doctor was like, "All right." He's like, well, I was like a chubby kid. He's like, "All right, he's pretty overweight, so that could delay puberty." So he's like, "No more soda or sweets." So then I thought this was gonna be like the day they'd figure it out, but I drove home. Nothing figured out, just learning that my nut is too small. There's nothing they can do to help me, and I can't have soda anymore, my only joy in life. So then I actually developed like anorexia for a few years. I started training myself to only like eat one meal a day to lose all this weight. And then the doctor was like, "If nothing happens in 6 months, bring them back, whatever." Nothing happened in 6 months. I asked my mom again, she never made the appointment, and then it was just too embarrassing. I couldn't bring it up to her again. So I just went through, I changed my voice too. Like my vocal cords are fucked up because I made it deeper, and all my friends made fun of me. They're like, "Why are you talking like this?" And it was so like, I didn't even realize I was doing it. I have a joke about it. I'll just tell but like I was talking to a girl on the phone that I liked, and she's like, she said, "Oh, hey, Casey." And I was like, "Oh, you must have all the fellas calling you. How'd you know it's Casey?" And she says, "You're the only boy whose voice hasn't changed." So then from right now, I was like, "Oh, well," it's like automatically in my mind. And I just talked like that for years. And then I was just dodging. I had a girlfriend, and when I was like 17, and then eventually like a year in came the time that, she wants to do sexual things as teens do. And I've just been dodging all this time. And I finally have to break down and tell her, and she was cool about it. And then, finally, when I was like 20, she was like, "Why don't you go to the doctor about this?" And I was like, I didn't, I was like, "My mom never made an appointment." She's like, "You're 20, you can make your own appointment." And it truly never even clicked in my head. I didn't know that I could make my own doctor's appointments. So I finally did. And I went there, and they just said they still couldn't figure out what the problem was. I had a whole list of, stuff I've researched, all these different, like Marfan syndrome, Klinefelter syndrome, that it could be. And the fucking doctor didn't even know what half of them were. I was like, "You're an endocrinologist. Dude, how does it?" I read this in a health book. How do I know more than you? But they couldn't really figure out what it was. They still don't know to this day. They just gave me testosterone to take. And they said, I'm going to keep like growing very slightly, probably forever and whatever. So I started taking the testosterone, started going through puberty, and now, now here I am. And I was like 21. And then, I remember going back to college, and I spoke up in class, and everybody turned around like, "What the fuck?" Because my voice was completely different. And you're in college, so yeah.
Good Lord. So wait, when you told this girl, this high school girlfriend here, what did you just told her about your testicle situation? Were you worried she was going to be?
Because I had a fucking baby. I had a baby dick. So I had like child genitals. No pubic hair. And we were we were making out a bunch. And then she was finally like, "Oh, it's time." And I've been like avoiding it all this time. And I was like, "I've got something to tell you." And I just burst out crying. And she's like, "What the fuck?" And then I was just weeping. And I had to tell her that I hadn't gone through puberty yet. And she was like, eventually, she's like, "Can I see it?" And I show her, and she's like, "Oh, it's not that bad." And I was like, which is the greatest thing I'd ever heard of. If someone said that to your dick now, like, it's not that bad, it'd be horrific. But to me, that was like the most incredible thing I'd ever heard. So
It's
we
the
did that, and
that hurts.
yeah, it's brutal. But we used to, we would do, like we had sex, but like I had like a condom and like lube. The condom wouldn't fit. It was like the condom was like fucking this. It was like, oh my God. It was just like a kid who like had to wear a free t-shirt because he lost his clothes. It was just like gigantic down to the ground. Lube. I didn't need lube. I could have fit in.
I bet the condom looked like you were like Missy Elliott in that fucking trash bag suit.
It really did. It really
Super
did.
Duper Fly video.
Oh my God. I'm writing that down for the show. That's good. But yeah, so we did, but it was just like awkward and uncomfortable. I still have
that's heartbreaking, dude.
A lot of sexual insecurities today, if you can believe it, based on that. But I'm getting better.
Fuck. So what's the testicle situation now?
There's still one tiny nut. The other one's small, I'd say, but it's not great. But I found it to be it's an advantage at times. My dick covers my balls, so it's hard to like hit me in the balls. That's been really useful.
Silver linings.
It's not like I don't have the stuff when guys are like, "Oh, my fucking balls are sticking on my fucking leg. I've got to powder it up." I don't have that. So that's good. It's the only thing people don't realize the bulge is primarily balls. It's like the balls are propping the dick up. So if I've done shows where you have to like be in your underwear and stuff, and I try to stuff a cartoonish amount of socks in so it looks like I'm being funny on purpose. But I remember one show I did it. I must have done it just right, and I never got hit on more in my life. And I swear to God, after that show, everyone thought I just had a huge hog. And there's nothing like I couldn't do anything about it because everyone would see I was lying. So,
my Lord. Well, I'm sure you probably came to realize fairly early on that girls aren't really too hung up on your testicles.
No,
right?
It doesn't seem to be a big thing for them. I mean, maybe some they kind of like it, but it's not a deal breaker for the most part.
I've never heard a girl be like, a size queen about nuts.
No,
dude, my boyfriend has the biggest nads.
Nads. Oh God, I imagine there's someone who I've heard in porn I like when your balls slap my clit or whatever, but it doesn't mean you need it. I can slap it, whatever. I get a spatula, I'll slap it.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's so. Of course, yeah. You must have some PTSD from that. That's brutal, man.
Oh man, when I was first single, trying to hook up with girls, because I was in a relationship. I was in that relationship into college, the high school one. We broke up. I hooked up with one girl in between, and it was fucking traumatic. It shouldn't even be, I kept dodging her, and her parents had a lake house near me a couple towns up from Lake George, and she just kept trying to get me to come up there. And finally I did, and I just remember I remember having sex where it was looking at a lake, and there's a big bay window, and she was on top of me facing the other way, and I just remember I saw my reflection, and I was just staring out at the lake like this. I was just disconnecting. Just she was and it was brutal. And then while I was so then I got another girlfriend for a while, for 5 years. And then I was single in New York. And then just the first time I remember I tried to hook up with someone, my dick was no, ain't working today. We're too scared. And that was a common thing. So anytime I try to, it'd take 3 or 4 times for me to finally get comfortable enough to be good. So I wanted to have a little bit of a fuckboy period, but my dick was no, we're a relationship, guys.
God. So it sounds like you were still getting plenty of female attention. It sounds like you had to beat him off with a stick. Quite literally, since
just
your
that one big
work.
dick show. You son of a gun. You son of a gun. Unbelievable. No, I was a little bit, I was tall because of this medical issue. We started doing comedy.
And you do have a very deep masculine voice. I mean, I think of you as a seriously macho dude. Nobody would look at you and be like, "Oh, this guy's got no nuts and a baby
I know.
dick."
That's
right.
People I hope not. But yeah, no. People have said like, yeah, I don't know, because I guess I'm like pretty big. Yeah, I got like a deep voice. I'm balding. People are like, that's a gruff dude. I'm just a tiny baby dick little boy inside. People don't see it.
Oh God, that's
But
brutal.
you know,
dude.
when you started comedy, well, you were in a relationship your whole time in comedy. You know that.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
in your 20s, for some girls are idiots in New York and want to bang comics, and then they'd realize what a horrible idea that is.
That's true. That's true. So I never had any. Well, I had I'd say normal sized testicles, but I had. It's not so much a problem anymore. But in my late teens, early 20s, my left testicle seemed to like ascend at any time it wanted, just pop back up into my fucking abdominal cavity.
What?
Oh yeah, and I would have to pop it back down. There was like no barricade keeping it down there where it should be. And so for a long time, I thought I'm never going to be able to have kids because your balls have to be kept at a certain temperature. So I remember when my wife and I were trying to conceive, going to a what do you call them? Endocrinologist. Yeah,
endocrinologist. Mm-hmm.
And the guy, diddling around with my ball bag, and I was like, "Yeah, this one kind of pops up. I'd like to take a test to see if my sperm is, my boys can swim." And obviously they can, but I was terrified because they would just pop up all willy nilly anytime it wanted to.
Jesus! So yeah. you could feel it in your abdomen, and like you push on your mons pubis,
pop it down.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
The vas deferens weren't holding in place? How are your seminal vesicles?
Dude, you would ace a fucking 7th grade sex ed exam right now.
Oh, I did. I had it for years. There was a picture of the pussy. I learned everything about it.
That's so funny.
I did it so fast, I wrote labia minora, and I drew a little menorah next to it. I handed it in like 10 minutes earlier than everyone else.
All the kids that were not getting any action at all aced the fucking sex ed exams.
Yeah.
Like, at least I need to know my anatomy. All the kids that were like actually like making out, fingering girls, they didn't care about that shit. They're like, I don't need to know the terms.
No, that's what all these
I'm getting to know them with my digits.
Yeah. So you hear all these jokes being like, you can't find the clit. I'm like, how can you not find the clit? It's right it's under the clitoral hood, above the vulva. What are you talking about? Right? These guys never had to look for it. But yeah. Oh man. So is it fixed now? Does your ball still just pop up in your body?
It sometimes does, yeah. But it's,
that's weird. They didn't say there's a problem with that at all?
The guy said that they could do some sort of surgery where they put some sort of like mesh in there to like keep it in place. And I was like,
swim trunks?
Yes.
That's wild. Yeah, it doesn't seem that important that you need surgery.
Yeah. I mean, I could conceive. I only wanted one kid anyway. If it was an issue, maybe I would have done something about it. But it's fine. It's a little bit uncomfortable when it pops up there.
Sure.
On a cold day, it migrates north, but
it's fucking in your throat.
Yeah.
Oh God.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I got my sperm tested, and they said it had lazy sperm. But this is when I was like 23. My girlfriend wanted my sperm tested. It was crazy.
Wow.
And so we don't know because we're thinking about starting to try, and I'm a little worried. I don't know what is going to come out of there. It's a lot of cum. I tell you what, I shoot loads. I don't know where they come from. I must, because they're not, all that is not in these balls. It's somewhere else. There's like a fucking, there's a warehouse somewhere.
It's mostly soda.
Yeah, I don't know what
What's your soda intake like now?
Oh, a lot.
Yeah?
A lot. Oh, yeah. My move now, and I don't do this, kids. But when I'm driving home from work, you go to the bodega, they got the cups of ice, which I never knew what those were for, but I get that. And then you have like a little bottle of whiskey, pop a little whiskey in there. Put some, I put some root beer, some black cherry ginger ale, some cherry Pepsi. You pop that up there and you have a little drink for the ride home. Just one.
A little road soda.
That's what I'm doing. It's nice. And if I go to parties, I just bring one of those. Last me for a while. That's my move this summer.
You can take the boy out of upstate, but you can't take the upstate out of the boy.
You're goddamn right. You're goddamn right, brother.
Oh man. So you haven't done the show in a while. You taking a little hiatus. I mean, dude, it's very funny. It is tragic. It sounds like you had a fucking brutally sad adolescence. Another thing was like
that is
once I was out of Jehovah's Witnesses and I could I left when I was 20. After having no acne my entire teen years, once I started drinking when I was 17. So I was like, I left Jehovah's Witnesses. I was like, all right, time to make up for lost time. Ready to, hit the ground fucking. And my face just exploded in acne, dude. Like exploded after having having had a pimple my entire life. Just like horrible cystic acne, like so bad that I would like skip school because I didn't want anybody to see me. So of course I felt like that was like Jehovah punishing me. Be like, yeah, you left? You think you're gonna fuck? Well, good luck fucking with a pizza face, you fucking heathen.
Oh, Lord.
So, dude, yeah.
That's horrible.
It's always seems to be some sort of obstacle in the way.
How long did that last?
Dude, I had acne up until like my mid-30s, dude.
Yeah.
I did 2 rounds of Accutane. You know what Accutane is?
Yeah.
Yeah. The show they have the cone,
fuck with your head?
The cone head babies on the back of the pill because you can't take them when you're pregnant.
Oh my God.
It didn't.
Did that make you crazy?
It didn't.
I got what? Okay.
What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say when I started taking testosterone, like, yeah, it was like, oh, this is cool. My dick's getting bigger. I'm getting hair, but then like, yeah, then I started getting huge fucking zits everywhere, and it was so embarrassing. And it's like always something. You can't win.
Yeah.
So I looked into that, but I didn't do it. It said it could fuck with your head, and I already have, some mental issues, so I didn't want to do it.
Yep. No, they're very cautious about prescribing it. The doctor was like, this can cause serious mental health issues. It can cause, depression, suicidal thoughts. I was like, dude, look at my face. I'm already ready to blow my brains out. Give me the fucking pills.
Yeah.
So, no, it didn't actually. I lucked out. But I had 2 rounds of Accutane, and dude, it was drinking. It started when I started drinking, and it stopped when I quit drinking.
That's wild. Yeah, it could have been. That makes sense. Maybe there was something in it that popped it off. Yeah, I mean, I still drink. I didn't drink really till I was like 22-ish.
Yeah.
But I was already getting pretty bad acne. Maybe it is. Maybe I'll quit drinking, see what happens. Maybe my life will turn around. I doubt it.
How are you going to enjoy those rides home from work, man?
I mean, it's something I look forward to all day.
Nobody likes a quitter.
Jeez Louise. Nobody likes a quitter.
So are you going to jump back in the game with this show?
Here's the thing. I'm going to. The last 2 I booked, one just nobody came and I'd cancel it. The next one, I walked in the room and it was just one of my wife's co-workers and her friend. I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not just telling you my deepest, darkest secrets for an hour to my wife's co-worker. And then after those 2, those are a little defeating. And then I started work. I think my wife and I wrote a little pilot that we met a guy who wanted to make. So we just made that. And so all my energy started going into that. And now it's tough. I'm like, I want to reschedule it, revisit it. But honestly, it was so taxing. I want to do it because I don't talk about this stuff anymore in my stand-up. It's just not where my, train of thought is at this point. When you write a longer set, it's like, it's a lot to introduce without having to discuss a lot more, you know what I mean? And I'm doing the road more and stuff. I'm not trying to, I'm just trying to make people laugh with hacky jokes. I'm not. So that's why I want to do this show to like have a place for all this stuff. But just like the nerves I would get before I would do it, like, I cry doing it sometimes. So like if it's not going well, it's fucking traumatic. I did it at Secret Loft and like my wife's family was there and I felt like it wasn't going that well. And I just said all this fucked up shit that, they had no idea about. And it was so hot in there. And afterwards I ran upstairs to this hidden bathroom that nobody knows is there. And I just hid in there until everybody was gone. And so it's a lot to deal. It's a lot to deal with, but I want to do it. It's just difficult. I'm going to get back to work out soon.
But you made a pilot about this specific thing?
No, this was something else.
Oh, okay.
My wife and I we wrote a little pilot. So it's just I can only work on one thing at a time.
Of course.
My brain doesn't work very well.
Well, dude, the whole thing about booking shows and having nobody show up and having to cancel, that is like the baby dick of stand-up. You know, it's like there are so many humiliating elements where you're trying to get asses and seats and nobody shows up and you just feel like your dick got chopped off.
It's a nightmare. It's so sad. It's like I already don't want to really be doing this anyway, and nobody else wants me to be doing it, clearly. So why are we doing this? Fuck.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, I feel your pain, dude. I mean, the last time I did mine was last August, and I think I told you, I had like 38 pages of notes, and I got through maybe a third of them in 45 minutes. I didn't even get to the meat of, my adolescence where it really starts to hit the fan.
You got to get into it. I had like 46 pages. It took like an hour and 40 minutes the first time. I was like, this is insane.
Yeah.
So you gotta, let's make a bet with each. I don't know what it is. Let's say we both have to do it both have to book one by the end of the month. Huh?
By the end of this month?
Keep each other honest. We don't have to do it by the end of this month, but we have to
book one.
But we have to book one.
All right.
How about that?
Oh, you're on.
I don't know what. Can you think of a gamble that would entice us more other than just keeping? If you don't do it, you owe the other $100. How about that?
There you go. That's way better than what I was gonna say. I was gonna say you have to stop drinking and I have to start again. Well, let's not ruin each other's lives that much.
We'd both be sad. What the fuck? Unbelievable.
All right, these are reasonable bets. I was like, who's going to be the first one of us to have a nervous breakdown at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival? But yeah, just booking one show in the city, that's manageable.
Yeah. Did you try to go to Edinburgh? Were you looking into it?
No, man. I've heard enough. I for a long time thought that's what you got to do. If you got a solo show, you got to take it seriously. You got to run out every day. And I've heard enough horror stories.
And all the people that go are rich as fuck. That's what you see. They're all rich kids because it costs you're spending all the money. You're making no money. And you're blowing all this money on this thing for bad crowds. No thanks.
Yeah. Amen. All right. Well, hey, the bet is on.
Buddy.
Good talking to you, pal. Thanks for doing this.
This is a goddamn pleasure. Thanks. Sorry. I had therapy yesterday, so I was really ready to open up.
That's what this is about, man. It's a trauma bonding pod. We got into it.
I learned a lot about you I didn't know. It was fantastic.
Yeah, dude.
I should ask you questions more often about yourself.
There you have it, folks. Casey James Salengo. Give him a follow on Instagram at Casey James Salengo. I believe there's not too many others out there. There's a lot of Doug Smiths. So if you follow me, give me a follow at WhoDougSmith. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube, youtube.com/@WhoDougSmith. Subscribe to the Patreon. Again, please, I beg you. $5 a month is all it takes. Patreon.com/JehovahBoy. Send in your stories and questions. Rate, review, subscribe. And most importantly, just keep listening. Just keep listening. Hope to see you next week. Thanks for tuning in. Goodbye.